Welcome to the Speak English podcast. Listen, learn, and speak with confidence.
You know that feeling when the elevator doors close and it's just you and like a total stranger in there?
Oh, yeah. The absolute worst.
Right. You're just staring at the numbers ticking up and the hum of those fluorescent lights suddenly feels incredibly loud.
It's deafening.
And you are desperately trying to think of something, absolutely anything to say that doesn't sound, completely ridiculous.
Right. It's that sudden intense pressure to perform, I guess. You feel physically trapped in this metal box, but you also feel socially trapped.
Exactly. And suddenly your brain just completely empties out.
Yeah.
Like you forget how to be a normal human being.
You really do.
The tension builds and it feels like there is this bomb of awkwardness just waiting to go off. And you have no idea which wire to cut to defuse it. So, welcome to the deep dive.
Thanks. I'm excited for this one.
Today, our mission for you listening is to decode something that terrifies pretty much everyone. I mean, introverts, extroverts, it doesn't matter. We're talking about the social ritual of small talk.
It really is a universal source of anxiety, isn't it? And what's fascinating here is that to understand why we panic and, well, how to fix it, we are going to look at this through a very unexpected lens today.
We are. Because to get to the bottom of this, we aren't looking at some sociology textbook or a high-level business networking manifesto.
Right.
Our source material for this deep dive is actually a guide designed for intermediate English language learners.
Which sounds surprising at first.
Yeah, it's essentially a manual reverse engineering how to make small talk with strangers in English. But as I was reading through these notes, I had this massive realization.
Which was?
The psychology in this guide, like the structural breakdown of how a casual conversation actually works, is incredibly valuable for absolutely anyone.
Oh, 100%.
Whether you're at a networking event or waiting for your coffee or just trying not to stare at your phone in that elevator,
yeah,
this is going to give you a foolproof, predictable blueprint for low-stakes human connection.
It really breaks down social interaction with the kind of mechanical precision you usually only see in like engineering manuals.
Yeah, exactly.
And the central thesis here, the core takeaway that we need to establish right up front, is a total redefinition of what small talk actually is.
Because we get it wrong.
Right. We tend to think of conversation as an exchange of data, but the source points out that small talk is not about exchanging critical information. It is certainly not about engaging in, deep intellectual debate.
So what is it then?
It is merely a social ritual. It's an entire design, like its only real evolutionary function is to signal friendliness and ease.
Okay, let's unpack this, because I think that's where everything goes wrong for most of us, right at the starting line.
They overcomplicate it.
We do. We walk into a room or we stand next to someone and we think we have to prove something. We feel this immense burden to be interesting or witty or insightful.
Exactly. That is the fundamental trap. The biggest mistake people make, and this is especially true for language learners who want to prove their fluency, but absolutely native speakers do this too, is over-preparing complex topics.
Like having a whole routine ready.
Right. They think they need to say something profound to be worthy of taking up someone else's time. They are trying to initiate this deep intellectual exchange when the situation only calls for what the guide defines as chit-chat.
Chit-chat. I love that. It even sounds, light and bouncy.
It does, and that's entirely by design. The concept of chit-chat is defined here as a broad category of light, informal conversation about everyday matters.
Okay.
The tone is supposed to be upbeat, effortless, and crucially, low pressure. If we connect this to the bigger picture of human psychology, you are basically just proving you aren't a threat.
I love visualizing this. I mean, think of small talk like tossing a light balloon back and forth with a kid, right? Rather than throwing a heavy medicine ball.
That's a great way to look at it.
If someone tosses you a balloon, you just tap it back, it floats. It's super easy. But when we over-prepare complex topics, when we try to be like profound with a stranger at the bus stop, we're basically hurling a 20-pound medicine ball at them.
And what happens when you throw a medicine ball at someone who isn't expecting it?
They drop it.
Exactly.
It's so awkward. I actually have a perfect example of this.
Oh, please, sure.
I remember once trying to fill a silence in an elevator, and I panicked. And I ended up asking this guy what he thought about AI taking over white-collar jobs.
Oh, no. In an elevator.
Just right out of nowhere. Boom.
That is, wow.
Yeah, he just stared at me. Total medicine ball moment. He wasn't ready to catch it. The doors opened, and he practically ran away.
Yeah.
I mean, I thought I was being engaging and topical, but I was just overwhelming the poor guy.
That is a brilliant example of exactly what the guide is trying to prevent. The cognitive load of your question was way, way too high for an elevator ride.
Lesson learned.
Right, because short, simple responses aren't just acceptable in chit-chat. They are actually preferred over long monologues or deep inquiries.
Interesting.
The real goal of this back-and-forth rhythm, the tapping of the balloon, to use your analogy, is simply to prove you are a warm, safe human being who understands the social contract.
Like, I'm not going to corner you.
Right. You aren't going to corner them. You are safe.
It's so primal when you think about it. It's like two animals sniffing each other in the forest to make sure nobody's going to bite.
Basically, yeah.
So what does this all mean for us in practice? Once you accept that the goal is just keeping a very light conversational balloon in the air, how do you make that very first toss without feeling totally weird?
Because that initial contact is where the panic usually sets in.
Exactly.
So this is where we get into the practical tools. The opening move is called the conversation starter.
Okay.
And according to the mechanics laid out here, there is a golden rule for conversation starters.
Let's hear it.
The rule is this: you must use the immediate physical environment or a shared situation. If both people are experiencing the exact same thing right now, it is a 100% safe topic.
Okay. I have to push back on this for a second, just on behalf of everyone listening who wants to have a personality.
Sure.
Because the examples given for this are things like talking about the weather. Like, can you believe this heat today?
Right.
Wait, isn't talking about the weather a terrible, boring cliche? I mean, are we really just going to say, wow, it sure is hot? I feel like if I say that, the person is going to think I am the most unoriginal person on the planet.
It feels incredibly counterintuitive, doesn't it?
It really does.
As adults, we want to be unique. We want to be memorable. But this raises an important question. Why do cliches become cliches in the first place?
Because everyone uses them.
Because they work. The guide insists on this because the cliche works precisely because it is a cliche. The weather is the ultimate shared experience. It requires absolutely zero background knowledge from the stranger.
So it's about lowering that cognitive load again.
Exactly. Think about your AI elevator question. If you walk up to someone and ask them about AI or like a movie you just saw or even sports, you're taking a massive gamble.
Right. They might not care at all.
They might not know anything about it. Now they feel put on the spot. They feel awkward. You feel awkward. The medicine ball hits the floor.
Right. You've accidentally given them a pop quiz on a subject they haven't studied for. And nobody likes a pop quiz.
But the weather. Everyone is experiencing the heat or the rain or the snow right in that exact moment.
That's true.
Other examples from the text include shared delays. So if you're both standing in a line that isn't moving, you can just say, looks like we might be waiting here a while, huh?
Simple.
Or you can use your immediate surroundings like, this place gets super busy around lunchtime.
So you're just pointing at reality. You are literally just narrating the physical space you both occupy.
You are. It removes all the stakes.
Yeah.
You are essentially saying, I am observing this thing. Are you also observing this thing?
And all they have to do is nod and say, yes, I am.
Exactly. Contact has been made. The network connection is established.
Okay. You know, when you frame it like that,
Yeah.
it actually takes a ton of pressure off. I don't have to be a comedian. I just have to be observant.
Right.
But here is where the rubber meets the road.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say you've made a successful observation. You look at the slow line at the cafe. You say your line about the wait, and the stranger nods and agrees. Yeah, it's really slow today.
Perfect.
You've made contact. The balloon is in the air. But now comes the moment that I think everyone truly dreads.
The silence.
Yes. The observation is over. The silence creeps back in. How do you keep it going without sounding like you're interrogating them?
You are hitting on the exact obstacle the guide identifies next. And arguably, the most dangerous part of the ritual. It defines this as the awkward silence.
The worst.
It is an uncomfortable, lingering pause where neither person knows what to say next. And this is the biggest fear during casual talk running out of material.
It's that awful moment where your brain goes into overdrive.
Right.
You start frantically searching your mental filing cabinet for a new topic.
Right.
You're thinking, okay, the line is slow. They agreed. What next? Do I bring up traffic? Do I talk about my dog? What do I do?
And we have to look at why that feels so terrible. Neurologically speaking, human beings are deeply social creatures.
Sure.
When we experience an awkward silence with a stranger, our brain often interprets that as social rejection, which actually triggers a mild fight or flight response.
Wow. So that panic is real.
That panic is very real, but that instinct, that frantic search for a brand new topic is entirely flawed.
Let me guess.
Ah.
If I suddenly pivot from the slow coffee line to asking them about their dog, I'm throwing another medicine ball.
You are. It breaks the natural rhythm.
Uh-huh.
It feels incredibly jarring to the other person. They were just thinking about coffee, and now they have to mentally pivot to whatever random topic you just pulled out of thin air.
So if we shouldn't pivot and we shouldn't scramble for new topics, how do we keep the balloon in the air?
The solution is a tool called flow maintainers. Instead of pivoting to a new topic, you use a follow-up question.
Okay, follow-up question.
But the definition here is very specific. It must be a short, low-effort, open question based directly on a detail from the stranger's last sentence.
Oh, I love this. This is like linguistic judo.
Linguistic judo, yeah.
You don't have to use your own conversational energy to invent something new. You just use the momentum of whatever they just handed you. You let their sentence do all the work.
That's a perfect analogy. You are redirecting their energy back to them. Let's look at how this works in practice.
Okay.
Let's say you used a shared observation about a delayed train. The stranger responds and mentions that this messes up their daily commute. Your follow-up question should be directly tied to that word commute.
So what do you say?
You simply ask, oh, do you take this train every day?
It's almost annoyingly simple, isn't it? I mean, I've spent my whole life trying to come up with clever things to say, and all I had to do was ask a basic question about the last word out of their mouth.
It is brilliantly simple. Or let's say you are at that busy cafe. They mentioned they were buying coffee before work. Your follow-up is this your go-to spot around here?
Right.
Or if you opened with the weather and they say they hope it clears up by Saturday, you ask, do you have any outdoor plans for the weekend?
Here's where it gets really interesting to me. As the person initiating the small talk, these short follow-up questions do all the heavy lifting, but they completely remove the spotlight from you.
Exactly.
You are keeping the conversational ball bouncing, but you aren't forcing yourself to be the entertainer. You're handing the microphone back to them, but giving them a very specific, easy prompt to answer.
It reduces the cognitive load for everyone involved. You don't have to invent a new topic, and they don't have to guess what you want to talk about.
It's all right there.
The path is laid out for them by their own previous comment. It keeps the tone upbeat, low pressure, and back and forth. It proves you are listening, which builds that vital sense of safety.
Okay, so the linguistic judo is working perfectly. We opened with the shared environment, we used a follow-up question based on their answer, and now we're chatting happily about their weekend plans.
Right.
But keeping that balloon bouncing creates a brand new problem.
Which is?
You're tracked.
Ah, yes.
You can't stand in the coffee shop for the next hour talking about their hiking trip.
Agree.
Eventually, you have to go live your life.
Of course.
But if you just drop the balloon, turn around and walk away, you completely violate that safe human rule we just established. It feels incredibly rude.
It does.
But if you stay too long, it turns an easy, pleasant chat into a hostage situation. Like people start checking their watches. You have to escape.
This brings us to a crucial part of the social ritual that often gets overlooked, and it's where many people stumble.
The exit.
Yes. Knowing how to end a conversation is just as critical as starting one. If you don't stick the landing, the entire interaction is retroactively ruined, and you leave the other person feeling uncomfortable and rejected.
So how do we land the plane without crashing?
English relies heavily on standard, warm exit tags.
Exit tags.
Yeah. These are specific phrases that signal the interaction is wrapping up naturally. And the guide breaks this down into a very reliable two-step formula called the graceful exit.
Okay, what's step one?
Step one is the pre-exit pivot. You have to give a reason for leaving, and the key here is to blame an external factor. Usually, you acknowledge time or a duty you have to perform.
So it's the classic, it's not you, it's me routine. You're basically saying, I would love to keep talking to you forever, but the universe is pulling me away.
Precisely. You aren't leaving because you find them boring. You are leaving because the world demands it.
That makes sense.
The source provides specific quotes for this step. Things like, well, I should probably get going, or looks like my bus is finally here, or I'd better get back to work.
Okay, so step one is blaming the clock or the bus. But if I just say, my bus is here, and then immediately run away, it still feels a little bit cold.
Right, it's too abrupt.
Like I'm fleeing the scene. I have to somehow reassure them that the chat was actually pleasant before I vanish.
Spot on. And that is step two, the warm closing. You must validate the exchange that just happened.
Validate it. Okay.
You are confirming that the social ritual was successful and that you found them to be a pleasant, safe human being. Quotes from the source include, "It was really nice chatting with you. Enjoy the rest of your day." Or, "Great talking to you. You have a good weekend."
What stands out to me here is how incredibly scripted this is.
Really is.
And honestly, it's a relief.
Right.
It totally removes the guesswork for you. You don't have to invent a creative, highly original excuse for why you need to walk away.
Nope.
You don't have to fake an emergency text on your phone. The script is already written for you. Looks like my bus is here. It was great talking to you. Boom, you're out. It's clean, it's polite, and nobody gets hurt.
It is highly scripted, and that is the hidden beauty of a social ritual. Everyone knows their lines. When you use these standard exit tags, the other person knows exactly how to respond. They don't feel rejected. They feel validated. They know the dance is ending exactly when it's supposed to.
So we now have all the individual pieces on the table. We have the shared opener, we have the follow-up ping pong, and we have the graceful exit.
The holy trinity of small talk.
Exactly. Now let's watch them snap together into a complete, predictable routine.
So the guide refers to this complete sequence as the three-stage small talk arc. It moves sequentially from the shared opener to the follow-up ping pong, and finally to the graceful exit.
Makes perfect sense.
And the text actually suggests that learners practice this as a single, unbroken routine.
Let's do a quick masterclass breakdown of this to see it in action.
Let's do it.
The source gives a full exchange example set in a coffee shop with a slow line. Let's walk you, the listener, through it beat by beat so you can see the matrix of how this works in the wild.
Okay.
So stage one, the learner initiates using the shared physical situation. They say, "Wow, this line's moving pretty slowly today, isn't it?"
And the stranger easily catches the balloon and replies, "Yeah, it really is. I think they're short-staffed today."
Now we enter stage two. The learner needs to keep the flow going without panicking. They use linguistic judo on the concept of the coffee shop itself and ask a simple follow-up. That makes sense. Do you come here often during your lunch break?
And the stranger replies, "Just on Tuesdays, usually."
Boom.
The ping pong was successful, but now they need to execute stage 3, the graceful exit.
Right. The learner blames the environment to trigger the exit.
Gotcha. Well, looks like it's my turn at the counter. It's nice chatting with you.
And the stranger validates it right back. You too. Have a good one.
It's so clean.
Very clean.
I want to reinforce to you listening that this structure is entirely repeatable. You can take this exact 3-step arc and drop it into a grocery store, an airport terminal, a waiting room at the dentist. It is a literal cheat code for adult social interactions.
It really is. If we synthesize everything we've looked at in this deep dive, it fundamentally changes how we should approach these everyday encounters. Absolutely.
Small talk is not a test of your intelligence, your worldly knowledge, or your ability to debate. It is just a 3-step social dance to build quick connection without the pressure of deep intellect.
You just have to prove you are a warm, safe human being.
Precisely. By mastering the shared opener, learning to rely on the simple follow-up question to maintain the flow, and deploying those standard graceful exit tags, you can dramatically lower the cognitive load of socializing.
For everyone involved.
Right. You never have to fear an awkward silence again. You have the blueprint.
You really do. But before we wrap up today, I want to leave you with a new idea to ponder.
Okay.
A bit of a provocative thought that builds strictly on the rules we just explored. We spent a lot of time on the golden rule of conversation starters, the idea that you must rely on the immediate physical environment and shared physical situations because they are universally safe.
Right, the weather, the slow line, the busy room.
Exactly.
That shared physical reality is the absolute foundation of the opener. It's what makes the interaction low stakes.
But what happens to this fundamental human ritual in our increasingly remote digital world? Think about it.
Well, that's a good point.
We are spending more and more of our lives on screens. If you log onto a Zoom call with 3 strangers, waiting for a meeting host to start the presentation, what do you actually share?
That is a fascinating problem.
Right. I mean, one person is in London, one is in Tokyo, you're in New York, you share no weather, you share no slow coffee lines, you share no immediate physical surroundings.
Everything is different.
The golden rule is completely stripped away. And we've all been there, right? Staring at the little boxes on the screen, listening to someone's dog bark in the background, desperately waiting for the meeting to officially start so we don't have to fill the digital void.
It's the modern equivalent of the elevator, but without the shared sensory experience of the metal box.
Yes.
The silence feels even louder on a video call because the medium itself feels somewhat performative. Everyone can see you not talking.
Exactly. And without that shared physical reality, our cognitive load spikes again. We start throwing medicine balls.
Right.
We ask, so, how are things in Tokyo? Which is way too broad. Or we just sit there in agonizing silence, which triggers that fight-or-flight rejection panic we talked about.
It really highlights how dependent our social rituals are on our physical spaces. When you remove the space, the script breaks down.
So, for you to mull over as you go about your week, how do we rebuild the shared opener when the only thing we actually share is a screen? How do you diffuse that bomb of silence when the elevator is entirely virtual?
It's a crucial question to consider as our work environments change, because our core human need for that social ritual, the need to feel safe with each other, remains exactly the same.
We still need to prove we're safe, even through a webcam. Well, we hope this deep dive has given you some practical tools to decode the hidden matrix of your next real-world encounter. Thank you so much for joining us on this exploration, and good luck out there keeping those balloons in the air.